welcome to Healthy Living, Happy Life, the podcast that helps midlife women just like you and me to rediscover energy, joy, and wellness without diets, deprivation, and doing more than we already are. I'm your host, Denise Segal. I am the menopause mentor and longevity concierge. And today's episode is a little bit of a reality check. For some people, it may be a little bit of a review, but I think it's always important to look at things from different perspectives. And I think for a lot of you who may be listening or watching, this is going to be a bit of a relief for you. So let me start by asking you this question. Ready? What if the fatigue, the stubborn weight, the cravings, and the burnout that you're feeling, whether that's you're tired all the time or you're frustrated or brain fog, any of those things, all those things that you're feeling, what if they're not signs of that you're doing things wrong, but it's a sign that your body is saying it needs something different? So let's dig into that, okay? So one of the things we struggle with in midlife is weight gain. We just do. There are some people who miraculously, and I'm envious of these people who do not struggle with this at all. But for the most part, most women are struggling with 10, 15, 20, sometimes up to 50 pounds. And, we chalk it up to, oh, we had kids. Oh, we have a busy life. Oh, my metabolism is slowing down. All of the things, right? But let's talk about one of the hidden, not so hidden drivers, or one of the drivers behind this midlife symptom, okay? Chronic stress. Now, when we were younger, when we were in college, yeah, we had stress. If we were not working and had kids at home, that was not me. There was stress. But, as the years have gone on and all of this stress keeps building on top of more stress, right? Think about this. In midlife now say you're 50, you may be 45, but guess what? You're still approaching midlife. We're not just juggling work in our little nuclear family anymore, right? We are carrying huge loads. More often than not, we don't realize all of the things that we're carrying are how they are affecting us. Think about it. Our parents are getting older. And so, maybe we're caring for them one-on-one. Maybe we're just going to doctor's appointments with them, making sure that they're okay, right? That takes a lot of time and effort and energy. And yes, it's stressful because we don't necessarily know all the things that they need. So we're trying to take care of ourselves and do what we need to do for us and our families and our parents who need these other things. And of course we want to be there to support them and help them. But sometimes that stress, we don't recognize that stress. Of course, midlife hormonal shifts. I think this is kind of funny as we talk about hormones as a woman. I mean, we've had hormonal shifts basically since we were, 12. But this is, in midlife, hormonal shifts or hormonal changes really are affecting us in many, many ways. And that actually increases our stress, especially if we don't understand where that is coming from. Career reinventions, I will call it. How many people do you know? How many women do you know that reach this point in their life and they want to do something different? They're not interested in the career or the job that they had been doing for many years. Maybe they were stay-at-home moms and now the kids are off to high school or to college, and stay-at-home mom is going, well, now what do I do? She's either trying to reinvent herself, create a career that she may have never really focused on. She's ready to do that. Or she may be in a place where she just wants to do something different. I've been doing something for 25 years and now I want to do something I really like, right? It's less about making the money and making sure that, everything is taken care of. Now we're starting to think more about, yes, the money is helpful, but we're starting to think more about how this affects our emotions, how we feel we're giving to the world. Of course, in this stage in life, also, our relationships are changing. I mentioned before about parents or aging parents. At some point in that relationship, the child really does become the parent because they are taking care of. Um, and many times, I mean, I know in my case, I don't have to take care of my mom. Obviously I call and make sure she's doing okay, but she's perfectly capable of taking care of herself. Caveat to that, though, she also does live in a house with my younger sister. So if God forbid something does happen, somebody is there, right? So relationship parent child, whether you're the child to the parent, now think about your relationships with your own children. They're getting older. They don't need you the way they did when they were little kids, right? They're getting their own ideas. They're branching out into the world. So that relationship changes. But also that relationship with our spouse or partner, that tends to change in midlife. Our physical changes can affect our partners, right? And of course, the most important relationship we have is the relationship we have with ourselves. And this is a time when we're really focused more on who we are, what we want, what we're good at, and how we want to spend this next chapter of our life, right? Um, and truly, after putting a lifetime, of thus far, putting everybody else first and everything else first, this accumulated stress at some point it's exponential, and it can explode, and it can really affect us, the way we sleep, the way we feel, all of the things, the brain fog, all of the things that I mentioned in the beginning of this segment. But here's the problem. Your body responds to ongoing stress with a steady drip of cortisol. That's typically what it does, right? Cortisol being your primary stress hormone. When it comes to hormones, especially women in menopause, we talk about estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, and cortisol. It's a huge, it's the big four, right? So when it's just kind of dripping, here, a little bit here and a little bit there, that's fine. But when that cortisol level stays elevated, like if we're in this chronic stress stage, it's it's not dripping anymore. It's kind of it's no longer a drip. It's a little bit of the floodgates are open, right? And if that stays the case for too long, if that stress level, if your cortisol levels are just extremely high for long periods of time, what happens? We know, number one, as midlife women, more belly fat. We're just storing more fat. Thank you, cortisol. Cortisol also disrupts our sleep. If we're not sleeping, we're tired, we don't have the energy, all of this kind of goes back. It's a terrible cycle. But also, when we're not sleeping, we're also increasing our belly fat. I know it's just not fair. Being a woman, sometimes this is not fair. This one I think is always interesting. It increases our cravings for either sugary or salty foods. Now, most often when I've read, it says sugar and salty. And I don't think that's actually true. I think it depends on the person. I think some people absolutely go for sugary things and other people go for salty. If you talk to 10 friends, you'll get half say, oh no, I crave salty stuff. And the other, if you pick 10, 5 will tell you salty, and the other 5 will say, oh yeah, I'm always going for sugary foods like a donut or something. Ooh, donut. And with your stress level, with the cortisol level being high, it actually throws off the other hormones like insulin, estrogen, progesterone. I just mentioned those, didn't I? And they're already wonky, let's just say. They're already causing us stress and challenges, symptoms, whatever it may be. So now if with increased cortisol, and we're already struggling with estrogen and progesterone, and now we're making that worse, you can imagine why you're feeling the stress and the anxiety and the sleeplessness and the weight gain, right? So when you're feeling wired and tired, right, you're foggy, you have that brain fog. If you're anxious or just emotionally afraid, right, if you're feeling any of that, you are not imagining it. It's really happening. It's really there. okay? And don't apologize to anyone. This is just something you are dealing with. Lots of women our age are. But this is truly what's happening. Our nervous system is basically saying, hey, we're done, right? No amount of kale or cardiovascular exercise is going to fix what cortisol is breaking down in your body. So what we need to focus on here is figuring out how to decrease your stress. Okay, so stress. I got myself a little stressed out over there. Get myself a little wired and worked up a bit about that. So as midlife women, and this part really gets me fired up. We are told, because we want to lose weight, right? Because of that belly fat. Usually it's that mental belly, that tire mostly. But if you look at a lot of women, say 50 to 55, there's this body habitus. They're kind of getting, like, the body fat is everywhere. It's not just in the mental belly, but it really is storing everywhere. So what are we told? Oh, just eat less, work out more, have more discipline. Seriously? All of those things are actually going to increase your stress level. It's bad advice, it's outdated, and it is dangerous. Yes, I said dangerous. Extreme calorie restriction and over-exercising can actually increase your cortisol. Well, it doesn't can actually, it does increase your cortisol. So there are so many of these diets out there, for, 5 days, you eat 800 calories, but you're still living your regular life, right? Only eat 800 calories, still do the things you're normally doing. Maybe that's exercise, maybe that's walking, maybe that's working, maybe that's taking care of your aging parent and your home and your household or your business, right? And now you're not eating. So what this actually is doing, it's actually slowing down our metabolism. Our metabolism is already slowing down. Why do we want to slow it down more? We don't. This actually sends the body into fat storage or survival mode. So think about it. If you're, typically, so if somebody my height, my size, I'm 5'1" if I'm lucky. The amount of calories I should eat a day, and this is based on all the numbers and kind of running all the numbers. My calorie intake is about 1,400 calories a day. Now, I do work out 6 days a week. A few days, those are 3-4 mile runs, and a few of those other days are strength training days. So, okay, so if I'm doing 1,400 calories and I burn 500 calories off, or let's just say I burn 400 calories off during a workout, that means I've always only given my body 1,000 calories. Okay, maybe I could do that, here and there. But is my body actually breaking down as I'm trying to build muscle? Am I actually breaking down? Am I holding on to fat instead of releasing it? Probably, right? So we have to really pay attention to the amount of calories, quality calories going into your body if you're going to be exercising, right? You have to know how many, calories in, calories out does account for something. Counting accounts for something. And people will say, oh, no, you don't have to do that. And I'm not saying it's something you need to do like religiously, like, every single bite. I mean, I'm not that good. I go through phases where I'm calorie counting. I was been away for the last 3 weeks, so I've been on vacation. And you know what? I got to pay attention because, I gained a few pounds. Well, I want to get rid of those few pounds. So yes, then I'm going to calorie count more. It's not actually, that's not completely true. It's more about writing down and looking at what I'm eating as opposed to how many calories are in that. Because if I'm eating quality food, that's going to fill my body, fuel my body and satiate me pretty easily. Like 4 ounces of chicken is going to satiate me a lot easier than a protein bar, especially all these protein bars that are out there that are just garbage. So that is important when it comes to calorie restriction. I don't love calorie restriction in the fact that we go too overboard. Less is not better in this case, right? So yeah, the fact that you're eating fewer calories, and maybe that 45, 60-minute spin class that you're taking once or twice a week, if you're still cardio crazy, that's actually going to spike your stress level. Cortisol is going to go up. Other thing is, what time of day are you doing that exercise? If you're doing it earlier in the day, that's better than if you're doing it later in the day, right? In the afternoon, our cortisol levels are supposed to start dropping and melatonin is supposed to start increasing. Melatonin is that hormone that helps us to sleep, right? So if you're going and doing an exercise, and I see this, there's a gym about 5 minutes from my house. I see them out there at 7 o'clock at night, running and doing some heavy lifting. And I think, oh my God, these midlife women are really going to struggle. So think about this. Extreme calorie restriction and over exercising is going to increase your cortisol levels. Cortisol level high, you're not going to sleep well. You're going to hold on to belly fat, which of course we're trying to get rid of at this stage. So this isn't about, I'm not telling you, oh, you should be lazy, or you should eat whatever. No, not at all. This is about being smart, right? In midlife, your body doesn't need punishment, right? I mean, I was an athlete. Well, I still am an athlete, but a real competitive athlete when I was younger, and I would push, push, push. Yeah, I could do that then. I can't do that as much now, right? And if I am pushing, it's for a much shorter period of time. So again, your body needs nourishment at this time, and nourishment includes sleep and rest and recovery, not punishment, okay? Which extreme calorie restriction and over exercising that is punishment for your body. So instead of doing another one of these 30-day challenges or a diet, ask yourself this. Oh, before I even go there, these diets, programs, 30-day challenges that we often follow because we see somebody on Facebook or Instagram and they look great and they say the right things. I just want to point out, if you're a woman who's 50, a personal trainer or a coach who is 25 or 30 or even 35, they don't understand your body. So what's working for them probably worked for you when you were that age, but it doesn't work anymore. So if you're going to do a 30-day challenge, make sure you're doing it with somebody who it's age appropriate. Okay, we do age appropriate with movies, right? With video games. Now we're doing age appropriateness with workouts and 30-day challenges. So anyway, so instead though, what I think is more important, and fits into everyday life more easily, ask yourself these questions. Are you fueling your body or are you fighting it? What are you feeding it, right? Are you supporting your hormones or are you stressing them out? Okay. Are you moving for energy or burning out? And that's those over exercising. I mean, it's one thing. And I remember a day a bunch of years ago, my sister and I had it 30 minutes. We were at the gym. We both got on the elliptical machine. And for 30 minutes, I can do anything for 30 minutes, well, for the most part. And since I only had 30 minutes for this exercise, and again, this was probably, maybe I'm going 10 years ago. So if I'm 54 now, I was 44 and she was 41. So we got on the elliptical machines and she's there having a good time. If you're just listening and you're not watching, I'm just really slowly moving, like pretending I'm on a elliptical machine. And here I am. Okay, I've warmed up. Now I've got 25 minutes to do a workout and I'm out. I'm here. I'm huffing and puffing. I'm going crazy on the elliptical, right? I could do that easily back then. Nowadays, if I'm going to do an intense workout like that, let me tell you, I need to plan it. I need to make sure today that where I've slept well the night before, that I don't have anything crazy planned the next day, because I may not have the energy the next day, right? So those kind of workouts you can still fit into your lifestyle, but they're fewer in my experience, personal experience, and that working with clients is, they're fewer and far between. So are you stressing your body? Are you fueling it? Are you supporting your hormones? So those are 3 questions to ask yourself, as opposed to going on another diet. Diets don't work, okay? Problem with diets, you start them, you finish them. At the end, did it work? Maybe Maybe you lost a couple pounds. Maybe you didn't really change a habit. Do you really change your eating habits and your lifestyle in 30 days? Probably not. So anyway, support your hormones, fuel your body, move for energy, not burnout. Okay, so I'm going to get into a little bit of I'm going to shift gears here. I'm going to talk more about the science of recovery. So obviously stress is a problem. Sleep is an issue. When we're sleeping, we're recovering, resting and recovering. Okay, so let's talk about recovery. Rest isn't just about lying around, lounging around. So that is part of it, some days. But it is really when your body does its deepest healing, okay? During quality sleep and intentional rest, rest could be, I sit outside every morning and have my coffee, drink my coffee, that I'm resting. During lunchtime, I turn off, I walk away from the computer and the phone. I'm resting my brain. I'm actually just eating my lunch, right? This is intentional rest. So what's happening? Your brain is actually processing stress, especially when you're sleeping. So all the stress that you're dealing with, if you're not sleeping, you'll notice, like if you don't sleep for 3 days and you're stressed out, like everything seems that much more enhanced and heightened, right? When you're sleeping appropriately, even though you have stress, we all have some stress in our life, then your body is your brain is processing it. So when you wake up the next day, you're much more refreshed and able to manage the stress, that daily stress. What's also happening is your hormones are getting regulated. Hello, hormones again, ladies. Those of us in our midlife, our hormones are an issue. They just are. They talk about balancing hormones. I don't know that hormones have ever in our lifetimes been balanced. Like nothing is ever 100% balanced, right? But it regulates them to a place where they function more properly. We feel better. And then another thing is when you're resting, your brain detoxifies waste. Now, for years, I was like, oh yeah, detoxifies waste. What does that even mean? What kind of waste are we talking about? Right? So these waste products are basically toxins that accumulate in our brain during the day. And they're basically carried away from our brain, our body. We get rid of them through a system called the glymphatic system. And essentially that just functions as your brain's unique waste removal pathway, right? And when we're not sleeping, this is a huge impact on sleep, or sleep has a huge impact on this. Disruptions in sleep, especially chronic lack of sleep, right? Quality sleep. And when we're having night sweats and things like that, yes, our quality sleep is interrupted. This can impair your glymphatic system's function. Okay, talked about how that's your waste removal, and potentially lead to buildup of toxins and increase risk of cognitive decline and neurological disorders. Yes, I said that, and I mean Alzheimer's and dementia. So this is really an important piece of sleep. When we were younger, we could go, oh yeah, I'll sleep later. I'll make up for it on a weekend. You don't want to do that. You want to try to get your 7 to 9 hours, depending on who you are, whatever works best for you. You want to be getting that sleep consistently, right? Yeah, every now and then, even I have a night, a couple of nights ago, I woke up at 3 o'clock or 3:30 in the morning, and I was awake till 5:30. Really annoying, but it happened. But I finally went back to sleep. And because I felt I needed to, I slept in a little bit later that day. So yeah, there are going to be times when it's not perfect. Life is not perfect, right? But we want to make sure that we're getting as much quality sleep as possible on a regular basis. So that's what they're talking about when they're talking about removing waste, okay? But what else is happening? Muscle reparation. Repairs your muscles. So if you've had a workout, and when you're lifting weights, you actually are getting these little micro tears. And when you're resting, your body is repairing those. And as it repairs them, it actually makes them stronger. And that's how you build strength. So if you're working out and doing your strength training, but you're not sleeping, you're not actually getting the benefit from your workouts. So kind of like, what's the point then, really, right? And then, of course, while you're sleeping, your entire central nervous system is on a reset, right? I mean, and we know how we feel when we've slept well one night, right? As opposed to like our whole body, our thoughts, our feelings, our moods, all of those things, we can tell when we haven't had a good night's sleep. So again, resetting your nervous system. But here's the cool thing. When your nervous system is regulated, your body stops holding on to fat for survival. Yep. So nervous system regulated, you're sleeping, your body's no longer thinking, oh my God, survival mode, and it will actually start to release fat. Yay. Basically, it's like your body is trusting you again. You then become a little bit more, I'm going to say this wrong, metabolically, sorry, it's Monday here, everyone, metabolically flexible. What am I meaning by that? Is your metabolism isn't just slowing down anymore. It's getting more regulated, right? Okay. Also, mental clarity, that you will find is you're much more clear thinking, except for apparently right this second. And you'll also feel more emotionally grounded. You won't have those huge swings up and down. Now, yes, that is part of menopause, but if we're managing other causes of stress and emotional upheaval, then we can I guess we can live with it better, right? I think that's what's important. It's always, nothing's perfect. It's never going to be completely gone away. You're going to have some, emotions that, kind of pop out of nowhere and like, ooh, where did that come from, right? If you're not sleeping, those emotions are heightened, and you'll notice more frequent emotional outbursts or feelings of sadness or wanting to cry, all of that. Anyway, so basically, rest is like plugging in your phone. It's like plugging in your internal battery. Okay, you can't run yourself on empty. You think of the Energizer Bunny. He keeps going and going because he's got a really good battery in there, right? You can't run your life on 3% power forever at all, right? Think about this. When you have your phone and it's at 1%, what percentage charge do you plug your phone in? You're a little crazy like me, halfway, I'm plugging that thing in because I want to always be charged, right? If you don't, at some point, one with your body, something's going to break down or something's just going to shut down. It's same as your phone. If you don't plug it in, eventually it's just going to shut down. Okay, we would say the phone died. I'm not going to say that we're going to do that, but something is going to shut down and we're going to have a serious health issue, right? So let's not do that. Let's get our sleep and rest. Okay. What's my next thing that I want to talk about? Let me think. Oh, simple shifts that actually make a difference when in this area. So what I recommend, not to I recommend these not to overwhelm you, but to empower you to try something new, something different that could work for you. And these are things that have worked for me, have worked for clients. Some of them are the no-brainer, Denise. Everybody knew that. But sometimes we need a reminder of just those things that are so simple. They're so simple we don't recognize that they're that helpful. So one, protect your sleep like your life depends on it, because it does, right? No screen after 9 p.m. Don't eat 2 hours before you go to bed. Take magnesium if you need it. And find a calming bedtime ritual, whether that's listening to music, meditation, reading, but not reading on an iPad or your phone, right? Because that's screen time. Nourish your body. No, nourish before you restrict. There I go back to calorie restriction, right? We want to balance your blood sugar with whole food, proteins, healthy fats. So, your veg and fruits, your beans and legumes, nuts and seeds, healthy protein and healthy fats. Those are going to regulate both your cravings, but also your cortisol, which is what we started talking about initially when it came to stress. So again, this is about nourishing your body, not restricting calories, okay? Move for joy, not punishment. Okay, we talked about that. Try walking, stretching, strength training is essential here. But I'm not talking like boot camp crazy. Yeah, I know a lot of people do that. And I've tried that in the past. I've actually hurt myself twice while I did that. So it's not about that. It's about smart strength training with an appropriate trainer or following an appropriate age-appropriate program, right? Or just do something fun. Dance in the kitchen while you're making dinner, okay? Dance like nobody's watching. Well, most of the time, if I'm in my kitchen, nobody is watching, so what the heck, right? Your body will respond better to respecting your body, loving your body, than it will anytime when it comes to resistance or restriction, okay? Create moments of recovery. So we're talking about stress, sleep, recovery here. A 10-minute meditation, journaling, a quick walk outside, or even saying no to something that drains you are so nourishing, right? You need this time for you. It's not about being selfish. This is about giving your body what it needs, giving your mind what it needs, giving your soul what it needs, right? So my final thoughts, what if your symptoms aren't signs of failure, right? They're signs that your body just wants to feel safe again. It just needs something different, right? What if you don't need more? You just need to know it works for you now, where you are in this stage in your life. Stop blaming yourself and start listening to the messages your body is sending you. Your body is brilliant. It knows what it needs. We just have to actually pay attention and listen. So we know you are not broken. You are not lazy. You are not failing. This is just your calling, and it's a calling for a better way for you. One that supports your hormones, your nervous system, and your whole body, right? Body, mind, and spirit, right? Eat real food, make good decisions, be accountable. All those three things I talk about in my book, Healthy Living, Happy Life, a practical path for finding a healthy lifestyle that works for you. Everything I talk about is based on those three principles. And everything I talked about today fits into one of those categories. So let's make sure we're supporting our hormones, our nervous system, and our body, mind, and spirit. So a couple things. If this episode resonated with you, please, please, please share it with a midlife woman who needs to know, one, she's not alone and that there is help out there. If you want to take that next step and you're interested in chatting, I have my monthly Hormones in Harmony program that is scheduled for July 9th at 3 p.m. Eastern time. So you can, I'll put a link here in the show notes and you can sign up for that. This is a monthly talk where I'm going to talk about something. I do have some bullet points that I want to touch on, but more importantly, this is about you asking questions, you telling me what's going on, and the rest of the people, those of us who are on the call to support each other, ask their own questions, tell us, your experiences, right? Menopause is not something we go through alone, and we shouldn't be ashamed, and we should be able to share. So Hormones in Harmony is a perfect place for you to do that. So great. Thank you, everyone, and for being with me, for listening, and for sharing. Until next time, rest well, my friends. Love yourself, and remember, healthy living isn't about doing more. It's about doing what matters.